Today, some of our best segments from the Global Lane. Free speech and religious freedom under fire again in Canada. This time it's not pastors getting arrested over COVID-19 restrictions, but a 16-year-old high school student. Josh Alexander shared his thoughts about transgender ideology at St. Joseph's Catholic High School in Renfrew, Ontario. Officials suspended him from class for the rest of the school year, and when he showed up to class for the second semester, he was promptly arrested by 2 police officers. Well, here to share what happened is Josh Alexander. Josh, it's good to talk with you. So what happened in class? What did you say that got you in trouble?
Yeah, thank you for having me on. So the whole issue started back in October, I suppose. I had moved to the Catholic board, and female students in the school informed me that male students were using the female washrooms, and they were concerned by this. So I decided to talk about that. I voiced my beliefs, and I expressed concern to the principal. A female student also expressed concern to the principal, and we were both ignored. So at that point, I decided to organize a protest outside to shed some light on what was going on behind closed doors. And they ended up suspending me indefinitely 2 days before the actual protest. They gave me an exclusion order. This exclusion order was completely unlawful and discriminatory, and so I decided to show up to school regardless of the exclusion order. And at that point, they hit me with a trespassing notice and another suspension. I waited all of that out until the end of the semester, lost 4 of my credits, and by the beginning of the next semester, with my lawyer, I informed them that I would return to school and continue to adhere to my religious beliefs. Not long into that time, I was brought to the office. The principal blocked the exit, and 2 police officers ended up entering the building. And when they told me to leave, I explained to them the situation, how I was only in that situation because of my beliefs, and that I exercised my fundamental freedoms, and that I wasn't going to leave on a request. So they ended up arresting me, and they charged me with trespassing.
Were you hateful or disrespectful? What tone did you take when you said what you did?
No, I wasn't disrespectful at all. I voiced my beliefs, my sincere beliefs, and I never directed at a specific trans student that was doing anything. I don't condone their behavior, but I also sympathize with them because they're a victim of our society, and our education system, and the terrible parents that have encouraged and pushed that on their children. I was called a racist, a sexist, a bigot by staff and students were involved in this stuff. And yeah, I just continued to voice my beliefs, and I had ended up getting me arrested. There was conditions they wanted me to agree to in order to return to school. As a Christian, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to accept the falsehood. I'm not going to go along with the mainstream narrative that is completely contrary to God's natural order. So I couldn't agree to those conditions, and that's where I'm at this point.
Were you actually taken to the police station and booked, put in jail?
No, they charged me from the cruiser, and then they ended up releasing me to my brother.
Okay, and what was the reaction of your parents having their son arrested?
I doubt they're very happy about that. I mean, they recognized that all I had done was express my beliefs, and they weren't too happy with the response from the Ontario Provincial Police or the school board. So
they were supportive of their son expressing his faith in a Catholic school.
Yes.
Imagine that. The principal declined to do an interview with a reporter from the National Post, saying he couldn't comment about your case because of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. That prevents him from talking about specific student cases. So what would you like to see happen now, Josh?
Well, we're taking my school to the Human Rights Commission. We also just had a presentation at the school board meeting, and we got to, I had a representative from Parents as First Educators. They got to give a presentation and explain where we were coming from a bit and offered some resolutions. I don't know where that'll go, but hopefully we can find a resolution and move on, and that the safety of our female students would be taken a little more seriously, and our freedom of expression would be defended rather than attacked by our education system.
And the freedom of religion, your belief in a Catholic school. So tell us about the petition you've got going.
Yeah, we've got a petition. You can find it at libertycoalitioncanada.com, and that's probably, we've got some plans that we haven't yet released, but that'll come in handy. So if you want to support what we're doing, just go ahead and sign that petition.
Okay, and finally, Josh, how important is your Christian faith to you? Tell us about your relationship with Christ.
Yeah, it's incredibly important. I probably wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for it, and I recognize that our freedom of religion is under attack, and like I said earlier, God's natural order is under attack. The family unit in general is being attacked from every angle, and they're starting with the youth. You can see it not only in the education system, but even what they're doing with the Drag Queen Storytime hours. I was actually arrested the day after at the school. I was arrested twice in 2 days because I was quoting scripture outside of a Drag Queen Storytime, and the police arrested me for that and charged me again. So I would say my faith plays a fairly large role in it. I'm not going to silence myself. We're told to go into the world and preach the gospel, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. Yeah, we'll see where that goes.
And there are consequences in a fallen world when you do that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Josh Alexander, all the best to you. Thank you for sharing your time and thoughts. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless.
The World Health Organization is moving forward to revise international health regulations in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Some member states are expressing concern over provisions of the zero-draft WHO Convention Agreement. Critics say the proposed agreement would give the WHO authority over health care, trade, and other aspects of our lives. Well, joining us to explain more is Reggie Littlejohn. Ms. Littlejohn is president of Women's Rights Without Frontiers and co-chair of the Stop Vaccine Passport Task Force. Hi, Reggie. Before we discuss how this ties into U.S. law, what would approval of this zero-draft agreement mean for people worldwide?
Well, I believe that it will mean the establishment of a worldwide totalitarian biotech state. So these instruments, and by the way, you correctly characterized the zero draft as an agreement. That's what they're calling it. They don't want to call it a treaty because they are deliberately trying to subvert the United States and the other countries' treaty processes. So if it's an agreement, all it takes is a signature. It does not take going through our Senate. So people say, oh, don't worry about it. It will never pass our Senate. Well, they are deliberately subverting our Senate process.
Signatories must recognize, quote, the central role of the WHO as a directing and coordinating authority on international health work. What do you believe that means?
Well, it means that the WHO is able to call the shots if there's any health emergency or potential health emergency anywhere in the world, and the language that says that they have to have the permission of the country is stricken so that they can do it without the permission of the country. And it's not only about human health. They have something called One Health, which means that they can do it on behalf of human health, animal health, plant health, the environment. They can use any reason that they want to be able to come in and basically run the show in terms of addressing that health issue.
And I've read the zero draft proposal. It gives the WHO authority over the global supply chain.
The Chinese Communist Party has absolutely outsized influence at the World Health Organization, which is why they were able to get away with all the lies that they did, which were just amplified by Dr. Tedros. So this is not a good alliance at all. And in terms of the supply chains, they are also wanting to take control over the intellectual property. Like if somebody in the United States or another country develops a great vaccine, they're going to be forced to share that information, which I think is bad for the production of pharmaceuticals. I think that the intellectual property rights are very important.
Yes, I noticed that in the draft agreement. And here in the U.S., let's move forward. How is the Biden administration planning to use the National Defense Authorization Act, the NDAA, to pre-approve whatever is approved by the WHO?
This is something that just came to my attention on Friday from an international law expert, that this National Defense Authorization Act, which was rammed through at the very end of the last Congress, contains within it something called the International Pandemic Preparedness Act. And I think most people in Congress don't even know about this. But that act contains a loophole in it, which he argues, and I agree, makes it that whatever the World Health Organization passes is automatically made law in the United States, again, subverting our Senate. So this needs to be opposed. And in fact, I think that the entire World Health Organization attempt to take over the world, really, through vaccine passports, that's another thing that they want to do. The World Health Organization, if these things are passed, will have the ability to mandate in the United States how we handle a pandemic, including forced quarantines, forced mask mandates, forced vaccine mandates. Why should we allow Dr. Tedros, who failed so miserably in handling the Wuhan virus, order us around about how we handle our own health? I think that anyone who believes in freedom in the U.S. Congress should condition raising the debt ceiling on U.S. withdrawal from the World Health Organization.
Okay, Reggie Littlejohn, president of Women's Rights Without Frontiers and co-chair of the Stop Vaccine Passports Task Force. Thank you for being with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
On the threshold of a new era, advancements in artificial intelligence and robotic technology are escalating at a frenzied pace. Here's former Google executive Mo Gaudat commenting to Sky News about advancements in ChatGPT.
AI today is estimated, so ChatGPT 4 is estimated to be at an IQ of 155. In 2 to 3 years' time, we will have 2 more doublings. You're talking about intelligence of the magnitude of, say, 3,000 times humans, 5,000 times humans.
The IQ of one of the smartest humans ever, theoretical physicist Albert Einstein, was between 160 and 180. So AI and robots will soon become more intelligent than the smartest humans. And Sky News recently introduced its audience to desktop Amica. Take a look.
I think a world where humans and robots coexist would be an amazing place. We could learn from each other, work together to solve problems, and create a better future for everyone.
But our next guest contends the better future that wealthy power elite globalists have in mind for humans goes beyond simply coexisting. Joe Allen believes our brains will be hardwired to artificial intelligence systems. It's all in the new book, Dark Aeon, Transhumanism and the War Against Humanity. Joe, thanks for being with us. So the future you describe in your book seems dark, terrifying. You write about the emergence of scientism, a techno-religion. So what is scientism? What do you see happening?
Scientism, very basically, is the belief that scientific inquiry and discovery will answer all of the existential questions in human life. All those questions which religion seeks to satisfy, scientism holds up material discovery as the means of salvation, the means of transcendence. Transhumanism is an outgrowth of that. Transhumanism is the idea that technology will be the instrument of that salvation, the instrument of that transcendence. So this is not uncommon knowledge, I think, in our era. It's in fact very obvious, especially in the wake of the pandemic.
Well, you mentioned that Gnostics believed in Sophia, a feminine figure that had godlike features, the female twin of Jesus, they believed. So is it by accident that one of the best-known robots of our time is named Sophia? Tell us more about that significance.
So the robot Sophia addressed the UN yet again for their Sustainable Development Goals meeting. Sophia takes her name directly from the Gnostic Aeon Sophia. So the robot was created by Hanson Robotics. David Hanson, founder of Hanson Robotics, named Sophia after the character Sophia in Philip K. Dick's novel Valis. The novel Valis has a Gnostic premise. The character Sophia is meant to symbolize the Sophia of Gnosticism. And if you look at the statements from David Hansen, if you look at David Hansen's PhD dissertation, and of course other figures in and around Hansen Robotics, it's without a doubt, there's no denying it. They are seeking to create a sort of technological inversion of what the ancient Gnostics put forward.
Well, Elon Musk has talked about implanting an AI microchip into our brain. Do you really see that happening? What would that mean for humanity? Would it make us smarter, destroy us, both?
So Elon Musk, who September 18th discussed this with Benjamin Netanyahu and also two other prestigious AI thinkers, he foresees a potential future in which, he said, hundreds of millions or billions of people would be implanted with these in order to guide AI according to human will. And this is not something that will happen. Neuralink, his company, Musk's company, just got FDA approval. But there are two other companies, BlackRock Neurotech, funded by Peter Thiel, and Synchron, which is funded by both Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates. Both of these companies already have brain-computer interfaces implanted in human brains that allow them to interact with digital devices by way of artificial intelligence. This is already a reality.
Well, what about the human soul here, Joe? While they may be smarter than most humans at this point, AI and robots lack a soul. And it sounds like these creators are trying to play God or replace God. So what difference does all this make?
In their conception, and this is a generalization, but it's one that holds true for the vast majority of the people, transhumanists, futurists, accelerationists, long-termists, you pretty much universally see the human brain as the soul. The patterns of the human brain are what Christians would call the soul. They are almost entirely atheist. They see these systems as being the creation of godlike artificial intelligence, artificial general intelligence. In fact, Mo Gaudat himself describes it explicitly in these terms. He believes that the programmers at Google are creating a God that never existed in his mind. They are playing with fire.
Yeah, it's
big time.
Yeah, trying to play God. So what do we do about it?
You know, at this point, given that we're talking about the wealthiest man on earth, the most powerful corporations on earth, the most powerful military on earth, and all of their competitors in China, India, and Israel, and Europe, I think probably this is not the most optimistic. Brace yourself.
Not much we can do.
I mean, I think on an individual level, there's plenty. And on a communal level, there's plenty. But I think there's going to be a lot of sacrifices for anybody who doesn't want to play along with this whole thing.
Okay, the book is Dark Aeon, Transhumanism and the War Against Humanity. Joe Allen, thanks for providing us with your insights. We appreciate it.
Very glad to. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
If you've ever taken a trip to Branson, Missouri, you've probably heard of College of the Ozarks. It's a small, prestigious Christian institution for higher education nestled in the Ozark Mountains in a place called Point Lookout. Less than 1,500 students are enrolled, but the college receives thousands of applications from those wanting to attend there. That's because the college offers free tuition. But unlike many students pushing for debt forgiveness, these students work for their tuition.
You work for 40 hours a week for 12 weeks, and that pays for your room and board for the fall and the spring semester.
I've worked at the laundry, I've worked at the warehouse, I've worked at the Keeter Center, I've worked in the construction department. I've done it intentionally to get a well-rounded work education.
It's incredibly important, I think, to our country to graduate people who understand that being debt-free is a good thing and that debt is bad. And if you want something, you work for it.
What a concept. Work hard and your debt is forgiven. This college emphasizes character and patriotism and, of course, Christian values. Back in 2021, President Biden signed an executive order barring gender discrimination. So the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, applied gender identity to the 1968 Fair Housing Act. As a result, the federal government is now trying to force the College of the Ozarks to open its bathrooms, showers, and dorm rooms to whatever gender someone thinks they are at the time. A biological male could room and shower with a female co-ed if he identifies as a female. C of O says that it is discrimination against them. They're a religious institution. It would force the college to abandon its biblical principles and its faithful commitment to God regarding sex and marriage. The Eighth Circuit Court ruled against the college, and that's why the school wants the Supreme Court to take up the case. Folks, this violates the U.S. Constitution and the right of freedom of religion. Let me remind you of Article 1 of the Bill of Rights, which says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. That means the government cannot impose another faith, in this case, woke secular humanist religion, on the school. It also applies to President Biden and HUD. They cannot force a college to violate Christian principles, its beliefs about sex and gender, or anything else, because to do so would impose another belief system, in actuality, a government-conceived religion, on the institution. The Supreme Court must take up this case. Religious institutions must be excluded from this HUD rule. It is of utmost importance to American society to restate our guaranteed commitment to the First Amendment and religious freedom. If the government erodes the right of citizens to freely adopt and practice their own religious beliefs without religious freedom, the country is no longer free. And the democracy that the president and many politicians continually warn us is under threat will cease to exist. Well, that's it today from the Global Lane. Be sure to follow us on the CBN News and NRB channels, social media, and our broadcast affiliates. And until next time, be blessed.